Have you ever had a dream so vivid that it felt real, like your life could change if you didn't act? That was me. I was just an ordinary lad from Salford living in a crumbling council flat with football posters on the walls. United had been my life for as long as I could remember, but something changed everything. Dreams! It always began the same way. I'd be in a foggy room, the air thick with the scent of stale cigar. In front of me would be Sir Matt Busby. His presence was ghostly, and his eyes drilled into me like I had to listen. "I need you to give this to Erik," he'd say. "The club depends on it." The first few times I woke up thinking it was just a nightmare. But then I began to notice things in my dream. Old Trafford looming in the background, the worn-out streets of Salford leading me there. It felt like I was being guided. Soon the Busby Babes appeared, looking just like they did in old black and white photos. They surrounded me, each player whispering secrets of their position. The way Duncan Edwards bossed the midfield, Tommy Taylor's precision finishing. The tactics they shared felt revolutionary, unlike anything I'd ever seen on TV or the United stand. Certainly not anything Mr. Goldbridge mentioned in his endless rants. And seriously, why does he keep talking about Manscaped? I'm just a kid, barely got a mustache. One night I woke up and saw something on my desk. It was a scrap of paper. Scrawled on it were those same tactics from my dream. I hadn't written them down. I had no explanation. United was in trouble. Erik was on the verge of being sacked, and the media was all over it. The dreams, these messages, grew more urgent. Busby's voice turned harsher. "Deliver this now!" The pressure weighed on me. How could I even get in touch with the manager of Manchester United? Alan Shearer once said, "If you don't shoot, you don't score." I had to try. With my AirPods blasting Dirty Old Town, I felt energized, like I was wielding shining steel, tempered in fire, ready to chop down the Scousers like an old dead tree and knock them off their effing perch. I got on my bike and rode toward Old Trafford. Every landmark I passed felt like a scene from my dream. The Beetham Tower looming like a shadow, the cobbled streets carrying the whispers of the Busby Babes. By the time I reached the stadium, it was eerily quiet. I snuck in, clutching the piece of paper. My heart raced, and there he was, Erik, deep in thought. I called out to him, my voice shaky, "Mr. Ten Hag, you need to see this." But before I could get closer, I collapsed. I woke up, I was back in my bed. Had it all been a dream? The notes were gone, my bike was still chained. Everything seemed normal, except for one thing. My phone. There was a text from an unknown number. We received the message, but the question remains, was it in time? On Sunday, as I watched from the Stretford end, something strange happened. The team played like I'd never seen before, moving in ways that mirrored what the ghosts had shown me. Even Anthony's right leg was as good as his left, and Harry was faster than a block of cement. I was ecstatic. The tactics from my dream worked. Erik had somehow gotten the message. But Mr. Busby's final words still haunt me. Even in saving the club, you'll never know if this is real or if you're still dreaming. Did I really save United, or was it all some twisted nightmare trapping me in a never-ending cycle of dreams? Story 2, Nightmare and Theater of Dreams. To me, football wasn't just a sport, it was life. Some people believe football is a matter of life and death. I can assure you it is much more important than that. Who said that? I can't say. Probably a genius. After all, what do I know? I am just a kid. United was struggling and Erik was close to being sacked, but something about that didn't sit right with me. And then the dreams began. It started innocently enough, me on the pitch, just like a normal fantasy. But soon, things took a turn. I found myself at Old Trafford, the stands eerily empty, the floodlights flickering. In the center of the pitch, a figure stood. It was Sir Matt. "The club is falling," he said, almost like a warning. "You are the savior." Before I could respond, more figures emerged from the shadows, the Busby Babes, and they began to whisper secrets about their positions, about football tactics. It felt like they were giving me something sacred to pass on. I woke up drenched in sweat. But the strange thing was, I remembered everything. Every detail of the strategies was etched into my puny 10-year-old brain. The dreams kept coming. They always took place at Old Trafford. But it wasn't the bustling stadium I knew. It was quiet, abandoned, a haunted relic. The ghosts of United's past legends appeared to me every night, their faces growing more desperate. "You have to warn Erik," Busby bellowed. "He's out of time." I felt the urgency in his voice. It was time to be the messenger and bring us back to the good old days when the king reigned. Erik, that is, not Charles. I'll never forget what my dad used to say every time we drove on the M62 to Liverpool for away matches. He'd beam with pride as we passed that billboard on the Manchester side. 1966 was a good year. Erik was born. He chuckled like it was the first time he'd seen it. But the real treat came on the way back, after we'd thrashed Liverpool. There'd be a billboard on their side saying, "1997 is a better year, Erik FF off." That's what I want to get back to. The glory days when Erik the King Cantona reigned supreme. In real life, the pressure on Erik was unbearable. I knew that these dreams meant more. They were warnings, messages from the past that I had to deliver. And yet, how could I explain this to anyone? That the fate of United rested on the words of ghosts? One night, the dream took a terrifying turn. The floodlights cut out. Darkness swallowed me, and I could feel the presence of something moving in the shadows. A chilling voice whispered, close but no cigar, "You're too late, son." Probably stroppy Bob Paisley, if I had to venture a guess. I turned, but there was no one there. The field was empty, except for one thing, a figure, barely visible in the dark, watching from the stands. I jolted awake, gasping for air. That dream, no, nightmare, was different. There was something in it that wasn't supposed to be there, something wrong, and I felt like it had followed me into reality. I needed to do something. I tried reaching out to the club, but no one listened. Just a boy from Salford with wild claims. That weekend, I couldn't shake the feeling that the game was more than just a match. It was life or death. When the final whistle blew, the scoreline wasn't just a disaster, it was a catastrophe. The team, a disgrace. Amateurs. My blood boiled, my face contorted and reddened like Sir Alex's after a crushing defeat. Every muscle in my body quaked with uncontrollable fury. Rage surged through me like fire. I wasn't just angry, I was absolutely livid. Erik was out. That night, I didn't dream. But as I lay in bed, I couldn't help but feel like the ghosts had finally left me. Or maybe they'd found someone else. With me playing Red Devil's advocate, let me know in the comments, should Erik stay or go? Run the polls. Mr. Goldbridge, Mr. Neville, Mr. Keane, and yes, I can't believe I'm saying this, even Mr. Carragher. Let's hear from the lot of them. But ultimately, it's really up to the fans, isn't it? We know best. After all, we've been doing this armchair management gig for years, sipping tea while perfecting the art of mugging off after the whistle. If anyone knows how to save United, it's definitely the lot sitting at home in their pajamas.